and because I knew that I didn't want to work with him.
Yeah.
And he was getting scary.
Yeah.
And then I turned around and it was on top of the Peninsula Hotel. I turned around to avoid his steady gaze at one point, and I was looking at a building with the top of the sixes on it. So there was a huge illuminated triple six in red.
Yeah.
And I went from that to that to that, and he started smiling. And I thought, oh no, Chris Walken.
He walks down the street a free man. Sean Combs does not. One of them just accepted another major career honor, while the other is sitting in federal lockup, counting down a 50-month sentence. That is what Judge Aaron Subramanian handed down after Diddy asked for 14 months, basically time served so he could walk out. The judge rejected that. Instead, he gave him almost 4 years. And while that was playing out, the FBI has reportedly been asking questions about the other man and about a meeting that allegedly happened inside his own home 30 years ago. The story does not really start with the verdict. It starts with a rumor that refuses to go away, a radio host willing to say names out loud, and an anonymous letter from 2012 that suddenly sounds less like internet paranoia and more like someone may have been trying to warn people. So let's slow down for a second. According to a syndicated radio host named Larry Gators, Clive Davis hosted a secret meeting at his Beverly Hills mansion in 1995. Gators says rappers from across the country were in that room. He also claims members of the CIA were there, members of the FBI, directors and CEOs from private prison companies, all sitting in the same place. According to Gators, the message given to those artists was not subtle. Make songs about police. Call black women bees and hoes. Push the music harder. Make it nastier. Make it more violent. Because the people building private prisons needed bodies to fill them. Now, the obvious reaction is fair. Why should anyone believe a radio host making an unproven claim like that? But the reason people are looking twice is that an anonymous letter surfaced online back in 2012 saying almost the same thing. The writer claimed they personally watched powerful businessmen tell record executives to steer the industry deeper into gangster rap, sell a manufactured lifestyle, and shape young listeners into the exact demographic that would feed the private prison system. That letter has been out there for more than a decade. Nobody truly proved it. And for a long time, nobody really had to. At least not until this story started getting attention again.
And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that fight.
Then Larry Gators took the story one step further than the anonymous letter ever did. He named the alleged host, Clive Davis. And Davis's team responded exactly how you would expect them to respond. A spokesperson said the claim was completely fabricated. They said nothing like that ever happened. They also pointed to Davis's real public legacy as a mentor who helped artists rebuild after addiction, career setbacks, and personal crises. It was a clean denial, firm, simple, and meant to close the door. But for a lot of people, it did not close anything, because when you look at Davis's own financial history, he really was in the right place, at the right time, for this rumor to feel less like random internet noise and more like something people believe should have been looked at years ago. So let's stay with what is actually not disputed. In the early 1990s, after Diddy was pushed out of Uptown Records, Clive Davis gave him $15 million to build Bad Boy Records. $15 million. In 1990s money, that is close to $40 million today. Davis has said he believed hip-hop was about to become the next global phenomenon. Diddy has said he made a strong pitch. Fine. Both of those things can be true. But it still raises a pretty basic question. What kind of investor puts that much money behind someone with no proven track record as a label head, no major hits of his own, and a reputation for being difficult to work with? A bet like that usually means somebody believes they know where the market is going, or they already have a plan, or they have heard enough privately to feel confident about what is coming next. The timing lines up with the alleged meeting almost too neatly. And what came out of that investment? Biggie Smalls, Craig Mack. A whole Bad Boy roster that helped shift the sound of mainstream music almost overnight. Whatever you believe about the bigger theory, that machine did not appear out of nowhere.
With no training in music,
None.
did you think you'd be good at this?
I never thought I would have a musical ear. I never thought I'd have a natural gift.
But the story spreads wider than Davis. He did not create the system from scratch. If you want to look at what some people see as the early test run, you have to go back to the 1980s. Back to a novelty record label that once released a California Raisin Soul album, then somehow became tied to the most dangerous group in hip-hop history. NWA signed to Priority Records. The founders of that label had previously worked at K-Tel International, the company known for As Seen on TV music compilations. One minute, they were selling cartoon raisins, singing oldies. The next, they were putting serious money behind a group of young men who were not actually the hardened criminals their lyrics made them sound like. Ice Cube has said he felt used. Dr. Dre was not a gangster. DJ Yella was even further from that image. But the image worked. It sold records. It packed arenas. And if you believe the pattern people are pointing to, that image also helped push a culture that fed prisons. That was the trial run. That was the moment the industry saw this model could work on a huge scale. By the time the 1990s arrived, there was already a blueprint, there was money behind it, and there was Diddy ready to build something huge. Now look at where things stand today. Diddy is in MDC Brooklyn, a facility a former warden once described as hell on earth. It is a place with documented corruption problems and conditions rough enough to shake even people who have seen the inside of the system before. He has been there since his arrest, and unless an appeal changes the situation, he is expected to remain locked up for years. But the rumor getting the most attention right now is not only about the sentence. It is about what Diddy may or may not be saying to federal prosecutors. There is a growing whisper that he has flipped, that he is talking. His own attorney, Mark Agnifilo, has said publicly that Diddy is very eager to testify and that he does not know if he could keep him off the stand. That is a wild thing for a defense lawyer to say out loud. When your own attorney admits you might be hard to control on the witness stand, that is not exactly reassuring. It sounds less like strategy and more like someone preparing for fallout.
And I've often felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slipped firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart.
If Diddy were looking to trade information, consider what he might have to offer. Better conditions, a reduced sentence, some kind of leverage, anything that gives him a reason to talk. He could name the meeting, he could confirm who was there, he could take a 30-year-old rumor and turn it into testimony under oath. At that point, a public denial would not make the questions disappear. And if that ever happens, Clive Davis would not just be dealing with bad press. He could be facing federal scrutiny tied to a cooperating witness who understands how the industry worked from the inside. That possibility is why people keep circling back to the rumor, even though nothing has been proven. The FBI has not arrested Davis. No indictment has been unsealed. That needs to be said clearly. But the rumor that federal agents have been asking questions has been persistent enough that even people defending Davis are not really arguing that it is impossible. They are arguing that it is false. And maybe they are right. Maybe all of this is just coincidence. Maybe it is a conspiracy theory that attached itself to a powerful older man who happened to write a very large check at a very convenient moment. But the pressure stays on because the optics are hard to ignore. Davis received the Apollo Theater's Legacy Award on June 4, 2025, at a star-studded benefit where Method Man performed and Busta Rhymes praised him. That same week, Diddy was still in custody, facing a sentence that means he will not be free until late 2028 at the earliest. The man accused by rumor of helping build the machine got applause. One of the men who came out of that machine got a federal jumpsuit.
I could be attracted to a man while I still am very attracted to.
And that is the tension people cannot seem to get past. One man is being celebrated while the man he financed sits in a cell. The same federal system that just locked Diddy away has not touched Davis at all. But if the rumor about Diddy talking is true, that could shift quickly. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen next week. Or maybe nothing happens at all. Maybe the meeting never took place. Maybe the FBI is not asking those questions. Maybe the anonymous letter was fiction, and maybe Larry Gators made the whole story up. But then the questions come right back. Why does that $15 million look so perfectly timed? How did Priority Records go from California Raisins albums to bankrolling NWA? Why is Diddy reportedly so eager to get on the witness stand? When you put these details side by side, they start to feel harder to separate. Maybe they are isolated. Maybe they are not. Either way, the story has not gone quiet, and the longer it lingers, the harder it becomes for everyone involved to act like there is nothing to look at. The clock inside MDC Brooklyn does not care about loyalty. Sean Combs has been sitting in that federal lockup since his arrest, and the longer he stays there, the more the math changes. He asked for 14 months. Time served, a way to walk out. Judge Arun Subramanian gave him 50. That puts his earliest release somewhere in late 2028. That is a long stretch. In a facility a former warden once described in words people do not forget. And the person with the most power to change that number may be Combs himself. If he talks, if he names names, if he trades information for a shorter stay. His own lawyer has already said publicly that he is very eager to testify. Not simply willing, eager. That does not sound like a man planning to protect everybody around him. So let's talk about what Combs may actually know. He was in the room. Maybe not the alleged 1995 meeting at Clive Davis's house, at least not in any way anyone has proven. But he was inside the machine that meeting supposedly helped build. He took the $15 million. He ran Bad Boy Records. He saw how the industry worked at the highest level. He knows who made calls, who looked away, and who else was playing by the same rules. If he decides to cooperate, he is not walking in with rumors alone. He could walk in with a map. And if the FBI has really been circling Davis for months, a cooperating witness who can turn old speculation into sworn testimony is exactly the kind of person agents would want to hear from. Now, this next part is where a lot of people start to get uncomfortable. The witness prosecutors might want most could also be one of the messiest people they could possibly put anywhere near the case. Suge Knight. He is serving 28 years for voluntary manslaughter. He is a convicted felon. He has a very public feud with Combs that goes all the way back to the 1990s. So yes, he has reasons to lie. He has reasons to exaggerate. He has reasons to drag the whole industry into the fire with him. But the part people keep coming back to is what Knight claims exists. He says they got all the tapes, recordings of higher-ups. Not only Combs, people above him. People who, according to Knight, were involved in the same kind of behavior they were helping cover for in others. Before dismissing Knight completely, listen to what he is actually saying. He is not asking anyone to feel sorry for him. He is not pretending he was innocent in all of this. He is sitting in a prison cell with very little left to lose, telling reporters that the music business has a long memory. He talked about something called the egg test. I am not going to walk through the details here, but the basic claim is that young artists were put through a degrading physical ritual before the industry decided they were ready. Knight says this was not some deep secret. It was one of those things people knew about and did not want to say out loud. And he named Clive Davis as someone who enabled it. Not as the host of the alleged meeting, not as the financier, as someone who knew what was happening and did nothing. Davis's spokesperson pushed back right away. They called Knight's claims completely fabricated and pointed out that he is an incarcerated felon with an axe to grind. And that is a fair point. By any normal standard, Knight is not the cleanest witness. But Knight also claimed Universal and Interscope had a quiet way of dealing with victims. According to him, when someone accused one of their artists of serious misconduct, the label would put that person on the payroll, give them a job, turn them into an employee, and then, according to Knight, make them pay taxes on whatever they received. If true, that would not look like a normal settlement. It would look more like silence being dressed up as a paycheck. No one has sued Knight over that claim. No one has publicly demanded a retraction. The industry has mostly stayed quiet. And that silence is part of why people keep talking. Because if somebody said that about you and it was completely false, would you just let it sit there? Or would your lawyers be moving before the interview even finished airing? The fact that Universal and Interscope have not rushed out with a loud denial makes some people wonder if they would rather wait for the story to fade. But it has not faded. Knight is still talking. And every time he talks, the whole thing gets a little harder to ignore.
You can't build a resentment about it. You have to still try and love those people.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they're thinking.
Let's widen this out a little more. Knight is not the only person suggesting the system protected itself when money was involved. Go back to 1991. City College of New York, a charity basketball game promoted by Combs. The planning was poor. The security was not enough. 9 people were injured in a stampede. For a lot of careers, something like that would have been the end. His kept moving. 2 years later, Clive Davis handed him $15 million. $15 million. That did not look like punishment. It looked like advancement. From the outside, the message was hard to miss. If you make enough money for the right people, you can survive things that would bury almost anyone else. Then there's Danielle Smith. She was the editor of Vibe magazine. She says Combs threatened to see her in a car because she would not show him cover photos before publication. That threat, according to her, happened in the 1990s. She says she still carries the trauma from it, and nothing serious seemed to happen to him at the time. No charges, no real career pause, no public reckoning. The pattern people point to is not subtle. Over and over, when Combs could have faced real consequences, something or someone seemed to keep the machine moving. And that was not just one person protecting him. At least to critics, it looks like a system. The same system that now has to decide whether Combs is still worth protecting.
That I have a very special connection with artists, with music. I certainly know I had it with him.
This is where the institutions start to matter. New York University has the Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music, an actual institute at a major university carrying his name. It trains the next generation of music executives under the legacy of the man now being dragged into these allegations and rumors. In the fall of 2024, the institute named Joey Bada as artist in residence, a 29-year-old rapper from Brooklyn, now connected to the legacy of a man accused by some of sitting in a room with prison executives and helping shape a cultural weapon. The institute's chair said Joey could teach students about the current economic model of the music industry. That phrase lands differently when you put it next to everything else. Because if Davis really did help create a pipeline from the recording studio to the prison cell, those students would not just be studying business. They would be learning under a legacy with a very dark shadow over it. And then there is the Apollo Theater. They gave Davis a Legacy Award in June of 2025, a star-studded benefit. Method Man performed. Busta Rhymes shouted him out. That same week, Combs was still in custody, facing a sentence that will keep him locked up for years. The same federal system that convicted Combs has not touched Davis, and the contrast is getting harder for people to ignore. One man is honored, the other is punished. One wrote the checks, the other cashed them. How long does NYU keep his name on that institute if the FBI ever shows up with handcuffs? How long does the Apollo keep celebrating him if a cooperating witness puts him in that room?
She just said she was in denial on that occasion. And she said it's not as serious as you make out.
So, let's bring this back to where we started. Combs is sitting in a cell. His own lawyer says he wants to testify. Suge Knight claims tapes exist that could expose people far above Combs. The FBI is reportedly circling. And Clive Davis is still free, still accepting awards, still being introduced as a visionary. That does not feel stable. It feels like pressure building with nowhere clean to go. Maybe nothing comes from it. Maybe the tapes do not exist. Maybe Combs stays quiet. Maybe Knight is just an angry old rival throwing shadows at everyone he hates. But if even one piece of this turns out to be real, the whole structure starts to lean, and the people who spent years polishing Davis's reputation may have to make some very quick decisions. So this is what I keep coming back to. The model was tested in the 1980s. It was funded in the 1990s. It ran for 3 decades with very few serious consequences. And now, one of the biggest products of that machine is sitting in federal lockup with very little left to lose and a lot to gain by talking. That is not complicated. It is the math of the situation. Combs got 50 months. He has already served 14. His lawyer says he is eager to tell his story. not simply willing, eager. And the man who helped launch him is still walking around free while Combs sits behind bars. So what happens next? Does he take the stand and start naming names, or does he serve the rest of the sentence in silence? Drop your take in the comments. I have got my own guess. Catch you next time.